Next up is a very interesting interview. We have a doctor in the house. I'm talking about Dr. Ogila. I hope I'm pronouncing this properly. I really hope so. Dr. Ogila Change.
Ogila Change, yes.
Did I pass?
You passed. But I'm used to getting change.
Thank you so much for coming through. Now let's talk about your journey into music. And before we even start, Dr. Ogila.
Yeah.
You decided to use that as the name, Yosani.
Actually, let me take you back. I've always used Ogila Change as my name. And then this previous time, I think I was with my PR people, and we'd gone somewhere in Malindi, and they had everybody calling me, "Hi, Daktari, hi, Daktari." They're like, "Wait, that's your name. That's part of you." You know, and then I decided to use it in this song. So I'm a doctor, PhD. I'm in academia. I'm really passionate about research, about education, so that is my line. And music has always been my passion. So that is where the name comes from.
That is where the name comes from. Now, in terms of music, one would ask, music is your passion.
Yes.
But you decided to pursue?
Yes.
So what happened?
You know, if you grew up during, in the 80s, when some of us were born, those days for parents, it was masomo, masomo, masomo.
The days when you were either a doctor, a lawyer,
Exactly. Ilikuwa masomo. Yes, you can sing, but your father and your mother want to understand umefika wapi kimasomo. So I was brought up in a very musical home, Christian home, born again home. So music was always playing in our house, always playing in our house. My father would even travel sometimes overseas and come with, those days hakukuwa na YouTube. So somebody had to physically bring a cassette. Maybe people don't understand that.
For those back at home, cassette tapes are things like CDs that you put somewhere in the radio.
Exactly. Somebody had to physically travel, bring back home a cassette, or you sit by the radio and wait for your favorite song to play. So, and then I remember, sometimes in the 90s, my dad traveled and he came back home with a guitar. And I was like, oh my God, we have a guitar at home. And then I learned a few keys. Still no YouTube, there was a book, Learn Guitar. I learned a few chords. So you'd find me at home after school playing a few chords and singing. But still, I was still singing in the house. I was still hiding. You know the way people sing in the shower? I hadn't, come out yet. Until upper primary, I had a very good music teacher who noticed that I had a talent. He had a guitar as well. So that's when I started playing in school. I had my own singing group. I think we were called Delis. It was initials. So D was my name. And we'd sing at the assembly and, very great memories. From then, I transitioned to high school. And then I went to Pangani Girls High School. Oh my God, and the CU in that school. It still is because I'm part of the Alumni Association. So I know the CU, the Christian Union there, is very, very active. I joined the choir. I became the choir mistress. I was very active in the CU. And that's where now my music blossomed. That's where I realized I could write music. Before that, I was just listening to people's music. In fact, my previous single that I released, which is part of my second album, May I Live to Love You, I wrote that song when I was in Form 1. And so recording it late last year and, shooting the video, it was just a full circle moment of, I wrote this song when I was in Form 1, and now it's an actual song. It's out here, it's on YouTube, and, amazing memories. So that's how my journey has been. Of course, I've always been very active in church, singing in church. I sing with my siblings and, on stage. And, it has taken a whole community to nurture my musical career. But then the question you asked, which I think I haven't answered, I had to pursue my education first. That's just how we were brought up at home. Masomo mbele kwanza. And so I finished high school, went to campus, did my bachelor's, finished my master's. Then I remember after completing my doctorate, my dad was at my graduation party. Actually, we lost him last year. But now this is 2019 when I was graduating. And he told me, my daughter, you have done everything. Okay, so umesoma. nataka sasa uimbe. Now you have the permission to sing. And of course, I'd been trying before that, but juggling everything wasn't really easy. You know, juggling everything, juggling masomo, family, nini wasn't really easy. But when it's a calling, it doesn't go away. You know, you try to suppress it, it comes up. You try to suppress it, it comes up.
I think what I would really want to know is, you know, when you finally got that opportunity to pursue your passion.
Yeah.
How did it feel?
It felt great. I mean, I remember trying to sing when I was at, I think just after high school. And I mean, you don't have a job, your parents are busy paying school fees for your siblings and even for yourself. I remember that time to record an album, I needed, I think it was 80,000 shillings. And oh my God, that was a lot of money then. Even now, it's still a lot of money. But that time, I mean, I'm a Form 4 leaver that time. And and I was very passionate about it. So I went from relative to relative to relative. Fine, I didn't complete the album then, but I recorded a few singles. So what I can say now, it's easier now when now, I mean, I have a job, I can pay for the music, you know, and I understand because the previous guest who was here on stage was saying the way music, just like any other business, requires a lot of investment. It takes your money before it can give you money. So for me now, it's a bit easier because I'm at a place where I can comfortably do the music. But it's... Do
you feel like it's the financial security that, you know, led you to feel like, you know, maybe I should?
No.
Now is the time. Because, you know, this other side was already sorted.
As I said before, you know, when it's a calling, it does, and it's not easy even now. By the way, you know, when I started singing, I thought, okay, I have the talent, I have the beautiful voice. God has called me to do this. It's going to be easy. I'll just release this single and I'll get 1 million subscribers. And I mean, that's what I thought. Then when I came to do the real work, I noticed, no, it's not that easy. It takes a lot of persistence, a lot of work, a lot of prayer, a lot of marketing, a lot of, you know, even for me to be here, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. But it's not easy. Whether you have the money now to do it, you know, it still requires a lot of work and a lot of persistence. Otherwise, and I think that's why so many people give up, because they're like, "Hey, this is too much work. This is too much work." Yeah.
What about the people within the industry? Like you said earlier, you've had a lot of people, you know, mentor you.
Yes.
Within the gospel music scene.
Yes, yes.
You know, who has led you? Who held your hand and was like, you know?
I remember because now I've just completed recording my second album. And my first one was completed in 2016. So it's also taken a gap. You know, those are around 6 years. And I remember my first album, I met a great gentleman called RK. I know now he's out of the country, but Mwanabuja then. And he would be like, we can do this. Go home, write, you know, encouragement, you know. I'd worked with other producers before, but I'd never encountered such encouragement. And sometimes God places such people in your path for, you know, just to guide you. And then I've worked with, you know, just other musicians. Right now I'm working with a producer called Ihaji. I mean, sometimes I get into the studio, we still don't have a song, but we will stay there for 6 hours. By the time we are leaving, the music is done or almost done. I'm also working with a great team of songwriters as well, and there are musicians also who've gone before me. I mean, they're legends. The people like Kambua, I look up to her. There's Rebecca Dawn. There's Joyce Omondi. So those are people who have gone through, have paved the way, have made things easier. And I mean, sometime back, local music wasn't really the thing, even on our media spaces. But right now, because of the hard work that they have done, you know, we had Akina Angela Chibalonza, Mary Atieno, Ruben Kigame, you know, those are people who, John Dews, Munishi, I can go on and on. But they created a great path for us, you know, they made things easier for us. That now we can just come, do our song, and there's already an audience, you know, an audience waiting, you know. for your music. So things have gotten easier. That's true.
You know, you've had the mentors, you've had that opportunity to work with all these great producers.
Yes.
What about the challenges that you faced so far?
Yeah.
What are the challenges?
Wow. Challenges are there. First, let me say, even just to put your music out there requires a lot of output, a lot of work. There are things you have to do. You have to invest for your song to be out there. You know, secondly, I mean, we just came from a pandemic, and most of us gospel musicians, actually all musicians were affected because the gospel ones, where were we performing? Churches, and we had our gigs after church and our concerts. But now with COVID, things were dead for like 2 years. So now we are coming up. So those are some challenges that we had never foreseen. And then there's also, there's been a shift of many gospel artists from the gospel circle into the secular circle. And you know, this is something I am determined to change, you know, because people keep saying there's no money in gospel music. But I think not all gospel musicians are broke in the world.
It's very funny you say that, because I remember times are okay.
Yeah.
When he was within the country, he used to say gospel musicians are earning more.
Yeah.
So what shifted from your perspective?
Probably the secular ones are earning now more. Maybe things have changed. There are more gigs, there are more... I think at that time, the secular world was not as active as it is now. We are having less gigs for the gospel artists, and most of the gigs sometimes are free. The gospel artists... That
is something very controversial.
The gospel artists, unafanya kazi ya Mungu.
That is, like, you know, so many gospel artists that I've talked to.
Yeah.
Especially the worship gospel artists, because there's a big difference.
Yes.
There's the pop gospel artists.
That's true.
Than the worship gospel artists.
Yes.
The worship gospel artists, the main thing that I normally hear financially.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
They're being told once you're at the event.
Yeah.
But you're doing ministry.
You're doing ministry. Yeah. We're looking at.
Have you ever had such an encounter?
Actually, for me, it's the other way around. For a long time, I would just say I would do it for free. I would do it for free because number one, for a long time I wasn't looking at music as something I was doing full time. I was looking at it as giving back. But then I realized along the way, for my product to be valued, I have to put a price on it. If you're having a gig and I tell you I'm coming to sing for free, kuna vile you won't value me. Like the artist will tell me, give me 200K for me to perform. So I realized along the way that what I was doing was a mistake. I was underpricing my product. So I started now giving it a price. And I think also it depends with your niche and depends with your market. There's a place when I go, I know what I will charge. There's a place when, I mean, it's not a constant. And I'm still growing. I haven't reached where I want to be. Kuna time itafika, labda.
I like that you said that. Now let's talk about Dr. Dorothy.
Doris.
Doris,
Yeah.
My apologies for that. Dr. Doris, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Wow.
As an artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
I look at Kenya and beyond. You know, if you, and I'm saying this to encourage other artists who could probably be listening, or somebody who's looking at getting into the market, Kenya is too small. Kenya is too small. But first you have to win Kenya for you to make it internationally. You know, you must start from home. Your people must accept you and welcome you and love you, and then send you out as an ambassador. So first, I look at, but Kenya is a small market. You can't be, you can't be satisfied with a small market like Kenya. If you look at, I mean, look at the US. It's a huge, huge space. Look at Nigeria. Those are, I mean, once you get that population, once you get that fan base, you're out there. You know. So in 10 years, I'm looking at the international market. That's my final.
Let me ask you, do you feel like the Kenyan market, because you just mentioned, you know, all these various countries within Africa, and we've seen their level of success. There's been conversations, you know, people saying, can we really match that level of success? It's not just, you know, within the gospel scene, it's also secular. Do you think us as a country we can facilitate that growth to make an artist, you know.
Yes, we can. And even I think now we have some record labels, international record labels that are based within our country. We just need to take our time to give our best. Sometimes we as artists, we just put out some two-liners and
yeah, because I saw what you just did. And is there an example of something that you saw and you were like, is this really gospel?
They're there, but you know, I don't want to mention names. They're there, but we need to. The music I was writing 5 years ago or 6 years ago is not the music I'm writing now. Now I'm even using help. I'm using songwriters, people who, I mean, professionals who are doing it. And we have to be prepared to invest for us to match what those other countries are doing. We can't just be, because there's so much music. But how many songs, when you switch on your radio, how many songs do you listen to that you remember, wow? I mean, that stop you, like when you're in traffic, you're like, okay, wow, I really want to listen to that.
Is there a particular song that you feel resonates with you like that? That you know,
like nikisikia nasimama. Of course, kama kuna Kambua song, Mungu wa rehema yangu, Mungu wa furaha yangu. I mean, you clearly tell whoever wrote the song sat down and really it wasn't written in 2 minutes. It was real work, and there are several others. That's what has just come into my head. And we have to learn to do that as an industry for us to, because it's, you know, I tell my kids, because they go to international schools, so I tell them, you're not competing with your fellow classmate for that university spot. You're competing with a child who's in the US, who's in the UK, who's in South Africa for that university spot. So we as Kenyans, you're not competing with the next musician, the next door. Because this is an international space. The entertainment space is international. So we have to be ready to give it our best. We have to be ready to give it our best.
I love that when you say that, you know, you're supposed to look at it from the international perspective and not just localized. And that might actually be, you know, I think you solved 10 years, you know, a problem that has been bugging us for 10 years within that particular industry. Look internationally.
Yes.
That's very powerful. Important. Any message that you might have for?
Another thing, if just speaking to the gospel artists, listen to God. I realize it's not about me. It's really not about me. If it was about me, I would have stopped, because there are days, I mean, I have a busy day, but I have to, you know, go and record a song or pass by KBC or post a song and it doesn't get as much traction as I expected. It's not about me. I'm a vessel. God is just using me to reach his people. Yeah. So it stops being about you. So that's encouragement I can give someone who's in the gospel space. So don't be discouraged. If one person is touched with that music, God's work is done.
Thank you so much for coming through, Doctor.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this.